Those of you watching the newest installment in the Naruto franchise, Boruto, might find yourselves unhappy with how the anime has been handling its story, with a childish slice-of-life take on what was previously a very serious series. While understandable that your expectations for this new series might be similar to the theming and maturity of the series that preceded it, I find it odd that most people don't like or seem to understand why the series is now turning toward a more kid-friendly atmosphere. And that's what I'm here to convince you of today: the necessity of childishness. Long ago, back when most of us barely knew what manga or anime was, Naruto came out and took the world by storm. This was the second of the big three manga, and eventually anime, that took the place that Dragon Ball Z formerly held as an incredibly popular and profitable shonen brand. One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach all coexisted at the same time, as reflections of what made Dragon Ball Z so fun and very cool. Huge fights with semi-serious storylines that could turn incredibly dramatic at the drop of a hat. Naruto is no different from the rest in this regard, but its first chapter featured Naruto as a young kid around the same age as Boruto is now in this series. There is a lot of drama here, just beyond the crazy happiness that Naruto displayed normally, and the manga later fleshed those moments out through flashbacks, since the main story itself quickly skipped over those moments to focus on Naruto and Ko's adventures just before and mostly after they'd become genin, as the Chunin exams began. In a similar period before the main story began in Naruto is where Boruto focuses its time so far in the anime. Boruto and his friends aren't yet genin, as they're going to school to become exactly that. As a result, Boruto and his compatriots are younger than we ever really saw much with Naruto, and in this lies the point I'm trying to make. Boruto is a child, and his actions toward his dad that so many people find annoying are intentionally made to be so. Children are illogical and irrational at the best of times, and Boruto is still very young, as this takes place even before the movie we've seen later. Neither Boruto nor Naruto should act the way they are, but Naruto is inexperienced being a dad because he never really had a father figure in his life, aside from Jiraiya. And on the opposite side, Boruto finds Naruto's inexperience with that aspect of life and acting as if Hokage comes before husband and father reprehensible, which is the conflict between the two. Boruto is immature because he's exactly the age when he would be. His friends and problems are all childish compared to the literal wars Naruto Shippuden covered, because they're supposed to be. They're just kids. In the latest episode, Naruto even remarks how he wishes Boruto could enjoy being a kid a little bit longer, which is a sign narratively that the story is soon going to take a step up in maturity toward the arcs we got with Naruto during the Chunin exams. There's a necessary build-up that needs to occur narratively to better serve the story. And while this first season seems incredibly contrived and childish, and at times it most definitely is, I feel that it still gels well with the young people who will be growing up with Boruto just like we did with Naruto. To me, Boruto is a legitimate reproduction of the series starting from square one, with, I would say, a better handle on how to grow the characters from the beginning, with the new audience that's going to be spending so much time with him. It's only annoying to those of us who grew up with Naruto because we've already experienced this before. And we're excited to get more of those badass fights and mature storylines that Shippuden showered us later on in Naruto's series. And if you're understandably worried about that, and of course some people will be, the opening scene to Boruto, showing him much older and in a fight with someone over much higher stakes than anything we saw even in the pre-Shippuden arcs of Naruto, is a way of showcasing that the show will eventually get back to the maturity and action people love so much. Right now, it just takes patience and understanding that childishness is necessary for the characters to grow up from that. Time solves a lot of problems, and it will eventually solve Boruto's, as we can see from the movie. But right now, we're still in the beginning stages of that. He's still growing up. Even Naruto himself was incredibly childish in the original series, perhaps more than his age warranted, but which most likely results from his lack of a family. Boruto, on the other hand, is much more mature already than Naruto ever was at the same age, at least in some cases, because he's had a stable family environment to grow up in, even if there is conflict between father and son, a natural state of life many, including myself, can empathize with. While some may say this arc of anime is unnecessary, and some of the people Boruto recruits around him are simply there as filler, since they don't exactly exist later on in the manga, I feel they have a certain tie to the story anyway. Denki exists as the first victim of this arc and to showcase Boruto's loyalty to his friends. The older kid who Boruto fights early on exists to help us see Boruto as someone who can get enemies on his side just like Naruto could. And the rest of his entourage exists so we can see the stark contrast between the utter abandonment and ostracization of Naruto compared to Boruto's charismatic gathering of people around him, both because of his dad's position as a living Hokage and not having a reason to be avoided in the form of a nine-tailed fox. Everything in this first arc is highlighting the differences between Boruto and Naruto, to separate them as people instead of just carbon copies like most of the other cast is of their parents. However, even characters like Chocho and Sarada get small arcs that pinpoint tiny aspects of their characters, aspects that differentiate them from their parents and show us the type of person they will become in the future. This anime is laying down the foundation for these characters far sooner than in Naruto, and these foundations will eventually be much stronger as a result, especially compared to how the foundations for Sakura and Sasuke were laid before the first mission they did with Naruto. In the end, I hope this helps convince those who find this first arc of the story tiresome. And while I do agree that some of the episodes are devoted to problems that don't need to exist, and there is a little bit of filler so far, I still believe all this will result in a much stronger bond to Boruto, as well as the others we will most certainly follow later on. If you happen to disagree with my points, or find them compelling enough to let me know your opinions, leave some comments down below, and I'll happily read and discuss those with you. And if you want to talk to me directly, you can always find me on my Twitter. Of course, if you just enjoy listening to the sound of my voice without interacting with me, you can also find more of me in a podcast I do for Desu Daily. This week we talked about Your Name and A Silent Voice, along with some anime-related video games like Danganronpa and Fire Emblem, as well as some community questions to round it all out. But if you prefer some non-verbal discussions, well, I got you covered on that too. Because I also do a series of articles every Monday on Desu Daily, where I try to convince you to watch, or not watch, currently airing anime. This week was Eromanga Sensei, and trust me, there's always going to be a hint of satire in my Why You Shouldn't Be Watching articles. And as always, I hope you remember to enjoy the way you watch anime, because as long as you're having fun, that's all that really matters. I'll see you next time.